Hello everyone, thank you for joining me. I'm Kerry. Today I'll be showing you how to crochet a wagon, which was a request I received. When crocheted using 8-ply yarn and a 3mm hook, this large one, the size is 19 centimeters wide by 11 centimeters or 7.5 inches wide by 4¼ inches. This medium wagon, crocheted using 4-ply crochet cotton and a 1.5mm hook, is 16 centimeters wide by 10 centimeters or 6¼ inches wide by 4 inches. These small wagons, crocheted using 2-ply crochet cotton and a 1mm hook, are 11 centimeters wide by 8 centimeters or 4¼ inches wide by 3 inches. For this one, I've got the seat at the back and the rest the seat in the front. And for this one, I've got back wheels. They're worked the same as the front wheels, but just put behind at the end. I'll be using Catona cotton, so the size will be slightly smaller than this large one. I'll tell you the size at the end of the video. I'll be using Catona cotton. I've got 254 Moon Rock, 506 Caramel and 162 Black Coffee. I've got a 2.5mm crochet hook, a darning needle to weave in the ends, thread and a needle to stitch it together, and scissors. Now I'm starting on the large wheels at the back. You can make one if you just want the wheels on the front side, or two if you'd like one on the back. I've got my 254, the Moon Rock, and we start with a magic loop. There's lots of ways to make a magic loop, so make it how you feel most comfortable. I just put my hook on the yarn, bring the short end over the hook and the long end over the short end to make a circle. Yarn around the hook and bring the hook with this yarn at the end through the circle. Then we work one chain and work 12 single crochet into the circle. A single crochet is a double crochet using UK terms. For a single crochet, put your hook into the circle, bring through a loop, yarn around the hook. Take the hook with this yarn at the end through both loops. So we need 11 more single crochet into the circle. Now that's my 12 single crochet. So now we take hold of this tail and just ease the circle in as tight as we can, and we join with a slip stitch in the top of the first stitch. So put your hook into the stitch, bring through a loop and take it straight through the loop on the hook. For row 2 we're going to work the spokes. We start with 6 chain. That's the first spoke and the 2 chain space. Now we're going to work one treble into the next stitch. A treble is a double treble using UK terms. For a treble, put the yarn around the hook twice, hook into the next stitch and bring up a loop, yarn around the hook, take the hook with the yarn at the end through 2 loops, yarn around the hook, hook with the yarn at the end through 2 loops, and yarn around the hook, hook with the yarn at the end through 2 loops. Then we work 2 chain, and we repeat that round, one treble into the next stitch and 2 chain, one treble into the next stitch and 2 chain, and just repeat that right around your wheel. We'll have 12 spokes. That counts the 6 chain. Now that's my 12 spokes. I work the 2 chain for the last one, and we work a slip stitch in the 4th of the 6th chain, and that's row 2 done. For row 3 we start with 1 chain and we work 3 single crochet in each of these 2 chain spaces. So 3 single crochet in each space. And then we join with a slip stitch in the top of the first stitch and fasten off. And that's the large wheel done. I'll work another large wheel off camera. This will need to be pulled in tighter. So there's the wheel. Now for the smaller wheel, I'll work one on camera and one off. I've got my 254 again, and we start with a magic loop and then 1 chain, and we work 12 single crochet into our circle. And then we pull our circle tight. and join with a slip stitch in the top of the first stitch. For row 2 we start with 4 chain. That's our first spoke and the 1 chain in between. Now we're going to work 1 double crochet into the next stitch. That's a treble using UK terms. For a double crochet, put the yarn around the hook, hook into the next stitch and bring up a loop, yarn around the hook, take the hook with the yarn at the end through 2 loops, yarn around the hook, hook with the yarn through 2 loops, and then we work 1 chain, and we repeat that around, 1 double crochet into the next stitch and 1 chain, 1 double crochet into the next stitch and 1 chain, and we'll have 12 spokes again, including the first spoke with the chain. And that's my 12 spokes. I work 1 chain and slip stitch in the 3rd chain. For row 3 we start with 1 chain, and we're going to work 2 single crochet in each of the 1 chain loops. So 2 single crochet in each loop around. And we join with a slip stitch in the top of the first stitch and fasten off. And that's the smaller wheel. I'll work another one off camera. Now we'll start on the wagon. We'll start on the bottom part there. I've got my 254 again, the moon rock, and we start with 32 chain. And there's the chain. For row 1 we miss the first 2 chain, and we're going to work 1 half double crochet in each remaining chain. We'll have 30 stitches. A half double crochet is a half treble using UK terms. For a half double crochet, put the yarn around the hook, hook into the 3rd chain from the hook and bring up a loop, yarn around the hook, and take the hook with this yarn at the end through the 3 loops. So we need 1/2 double crochet in each remaining chain. Now that's the 30 half double crochet. I'm going to fasten that off, but leaving a bit of a longer tail because I'll be using that just to do the neatening row down the side. So we'll always start and end with a longer tail from now on. To make it look like there are their boards, we're going to be working the same way along and in the back loops only. Now for row 2, I've got my 506 a caramel, and I'm going to join it in the back loop only of the first stitch. So just in here, this is a back loop here and this is a front loop. So in the back loop I'm leaving a longer tail, and I'll leave it on this side. I'm not going to crochet over it to use it for the neatening row. We start with 2 chain and we work 1/2 double crochet in the back loop only of that stitch, and then 1/2 double crochet in the back loop only of each of the next 29 stitches. So in each stitch across the row we'll have 30 stitches. And that's the 30 done. I fasten that off leaving a bit of a longer tail. And that's the first 2 rows done. Now for row 3 I've got my 254, the moon rock, and I join in the back loop only of the first stitch with a longer tail at the beginning, and start with 2 chain. Now for this row, because we're going to have the darker colour for the gap in between the boards, I'm going to work double crochets instead of half double crochet. So work 1 double crochet in the same stitch as the join, and then 1 double crochet into each of the next 29 stitches in the back loop only. And after the 30 double crochet, we fasten off with a bit of a longer tail. Now for row 4, I've got my 506, the caramel again, and we join it in the back loop only of the first stitch with a longer tail, and work 2 chain. And we're going to work 1 double crochet in the back loop only of each stitch to the end. So work 1 double crochet in the same stitch as a join, and then 1 double crochet in the back loop only of each of the next 29 stitches. Now that's the 2 rows with double crochet instead of half double crochet done. We fasten off with a bit of a longer tail, and that's the first 4 rows done. For row 5 I've got my 254, the moon rock again, and we join it in the first stitch in the back loop only with a bit of a longer tail, and work 2 chain. We work 1 half double crochet in the same stitch as the join, and then 1 half double crochet in the back loop only of each of the next 29 stitches. And that's the 30 half double crochet done. I'll fasten it off. And we have one more plank to do. For row 6 we join our 506, the caramel, to the back loop only of the first stitch, leaving a longer tail, and work 2 chain. We work 1 half double crochet in the same stitch as the join, and then 1 half double crochet in each of the next 29 stitches. And that's the wagon done. We're going to just neaten the sides, not the top and the bottom. For the neatening row, just start with one chain and work one single crochet just in the corner there, and then one single crochet into the first stitch, and then put your hook just at the beginning of the moon rock. Leave your caramel there and bring up a loop of moon rock and finish that stitch with the moon rock, and then work another single crochet with the moon rock in the middle of the moon rock section, and then put your hook just at the beginning of the caramel and bring up a loop of caramel and finish the stitch with the caramel. That will keep your neatening row looking, the colours will match with your plank there. And then you may need, being a double crochet for the next 2 rows, you may need 2 stitches down over the moon rock, and then bring up a loop of caramel just at the bring up over the caramel and bring up a loop of the moon rock when you get to there. So we're just working the colours of our planks for the neatening row. And if you bring up the next colour just at the beginning, it looks even. And once you get to the bottom corner stitch, you fasten off. And that's the neatening row done. And when you weave in the ends, if there's any gaps, just weave them in. For the other side, you'll need to join in your moon rock just for the first couple of stitches at the bottom there. So just join it at the bottom corner and work one chain, work one single crochet into that same stitch as the join, and then just work the neatening row the same. Bring up a loop of the next colour just at the beginning of it and work normally one stitch across the plank and then start on the next stitch. You may need to with the double crochet planks. and fasten off when you get to the last stitch. I'll fasten this one off. Now that's the wagon done. I'll weave in these ends and then I'll be back and we'll work this strip along the middle. For this strip along the centre of the wagon, I've got my 162, the black coffee, and we join in the first of the loops left after the third row. So this loop here. And you can work one chain if you like, just makes it a bit easier. And we're going to be working into these loops left. If you turn your work, bend it in half, it's easier to get into the loop. For a slip stitch, we put our hook into the loop, bring through a loop of the black coffee and take it straight through the loop on the hook. So we're working into the loops left, just one stitch, one slip stitch in each stitch across. And when we get to the end, we fasten off. And that's the stripe along the centre. Now for the seat, I'm going to use the black coffee, but you could use one of the other colours if you prefer. So you start with 6 chain. We miss the first chain and work 1 single crochet in each remaining chain. And then work 1 chain and slip stitch in that last stitch work, the last chain. And now we're going to work 7 chain. That's for the back of the seat. We miss the first chain and work 1 single crochet in each remaining chain. And then we're going to slip stitch in the second back of the chain across. So just in here, and we fasten that off. Now for the support things to add to the wagon, for our first one we join in the second stitch from the end and work 5 chain. I'm working them quite tightly, and then fasten off with a bit of a longer tail. We're going to use that to stitch them to the wagon. For the second support, we join to the second last stitch along the bottom and work 5 chain. I'm going to work mine quite tightly again. And fasten off with a bit of a longer tail. And when you weave in the ends, leave these 2 ends. Now for the axle, I've got my 162, the black coffee again, and we start with 50 chain. And that's the 50 chain. We miss the first chain and work 1 single crochet into each of the next 2 chain. And then we wanted to bend a bit, so we work a joined single crochet over the next 2 chain. So put your hook into the next chain and bring up a loop, and hook into the following chain and bring up a loop. Yarn around the hook and take the hook with the yarn at the end through the 3 loops. And then we're going to work 1 slip stitch into each of the next 14 stitches. So a slip stitch into the next 14 stitches. And then 1 single crochet into each of the next 15 stitches. We work 3 single crochet into the next stitch. That just makes it bend the other way. And then 1 single crochet in each remaining chain. And then we fasten off. And that's the axle worked. It bends up and then down. Now that's all the pieces worked. I'll work 2 more wheels. I'll weave in the ends and I'll be back and we'll put it together. There's the pieces. I've got the wagon, the seat, 2 front wheels, 2 back wheels and the axle. The first thing I'll do is attach the seat to the wagon. I'll be attaching it to the front. The supports cross over and just stitch in to the wagon like that, and I'll attach the near side wheels. That's the back one and that's the front one. The circles, the center of the wheel doesn't go over the wagon. We stitch them about there. Next we attach the axle in behind the wheels. So where we work the 3 single crochet attaches to the front corner, and then the rest attaches just across like that, just towards the top of the wheels. So in like that. The last thing we do is attach the wheels, other wheels, behind the front wheels, just in like that, just slightly ahead and about even at the bottom. So just like that. So I'll attach them and I'll be back to show you the finished wagon. There's the finished wagon. The size is 17 centimetres wide by 11 centimetres, or 6.5 inches wide by 4.25 inches. If you've liked my video, please like, subscribe and share. I'm also on Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest and Patreon. The details are in the description below, along with the details of my website where I have my patterns and the details of my Facebook group. Thank you for watching. See you next time. Bye.